Hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of All Knicked Up. I'm Holzman. This is Wednesday, May 22nd, 2024. Sad show for us, but happier than most. We're well, actually, I can't even say that actually, but happier than most seasons in my life, though. I will say happier than, especially the last 20, 25 years or so. These last few years have been a very, very fun ride. I think the best thing we're going to talk about this as we get when I bring the guys on, but I think the arrow is pointing up with this team. I think it's very easy to say that, but as we know, they did lose on Sunday, Game 7 against the Indiana Pacers at Madison Square Garden, which is probably the sadder part for me that they lost at home, but a loss is a loss. They're not playing anymore, so it doesn't really matter where it happens. Let me bring the guys on. Let's bring Ty in. Let's bring Joe in. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
How is everyone doing on this Wednesday evening?
I can't complain. You're breathing. That's usually a good sign. So,
Yes,
Look at my
it'd be
wounds.
weird. Yeah, that's kind of been the feeling. I have to say I handle these things a lot better now. 20, 25 years ago, I would have been distraught for like weeks. It would have really bothered me for a long time. But this took about a good 24, 36. And then I was like, all right, let's focus now on the future, on what's happening. And let's discuss, what happened this season and this playoff series. I mean, I think we can get right into what happened in Game 7. Now, the last time we had a show, the Knicks were leading 3-2 after Game 5. So a lot of craziness obviously has happened since then. I just sum it up to this. Eventually, the attrition took its toll, and I just think they were completely mentally and physically exhausted. You could kind of tell how they started the game. The defense was not what we normally see. The intensity level seemed to be draining a little bit. I think the 3:30 start had something to do with that. This team, this whole season, day games were an issue for them. So for whatever reason, they just don't play well during the day. I don't know why. I can't explain it. Some teams are like that, and this team was one of it. So I think the quick turnaround, traffic to travel from Indiana, all of that took its toll. Obviously, the injuries took their toll, but they didn't go quietly. I'll say that. They made it interesting a couple of times in the game. So, I mean, that's my take on it, guys. What do you guys think? What do you think happened in Game 7?
It's funny. I remember hearing Brian Windhorst after Game 5 saying that they were going to have, after Game 4, that they were going to have to win Game 5 and Game 6 because of the 36-hour turnaround to Game 7. And that it was crucial for the Knicks to win Game 6 because coming back to Game 7 would work against them with the short turnaround. Game 7 was tough, but I think it was too much for the team. I think that they fought valiantly throughout, but I just think everything that we've talked about in the last couple of weeks caught up with them. I kind of expected that to happen. What I didn't expect during the series is the fight that they showed, and that's just really, really impressive to me. I can't say enough about this team.
Yeah, I think that's kind of been also a general consensus, how this team, no matter what happened, they just kept going, pushing, and their team mantra was, you will find a way. That's what they had shirts made up. We'll just find a way. Ty, you were kind of quiet during the games. this playoff series. Like normally we chat and during the game, but you were kind of quiet during these games. So,
well, truth be told, Game 7, I had
right.
A reason why I had to miss an unfortunate accident that happened to someone that was close to my family. So shout out to that family. So I was unable to watch Game 7, which must show my love for that family because I usually don't miss any Knick game unless I'm dead. So that's usually how it goes. But however, This year has been probably the most silent tie year I can recall as a Knicks fan. Like there was no yelling at the television. You know, nobody had to run out of my house because they thought a bomb was going off. You know, nobody nobody was shaking and shimmering. You know, wondering why my niece and nephew come over, why the uncle is using a lot of profanity towards the cable vision, you know, outlet there. I must have probably had the most calmest Nick fandom in my whole entire life watching this team. And I think it's because I finally believed in a team for once. Usually when the Knicks, every season we wait for the bottom to drop out. And in the case of this season, several bottoms dropped out. Yet they kept winning. And you're like sitting there like, well, damn, it's got to end at some point, you would think. And they kept winning. He's like, dude broke his arm. They kept winning. So it was like most of the time during the year and during those games where you might have not heard me be vocal, it's the same silence I had in here in my own home watching the every game they ever played. I felt like they always had a shot. And they kind of took away the anxiety from me as a Knicks fan for all these years. I was actually at a calm, even when I knew they were losing and they were going to actually bow out in this series. I still felt content because it was the first time in a long time where I said, maybe we'll get them next year. And I do believe that because I'm looking at what they accomplished this year off of basically one leg. To come in and be a couple of games away from an Eastern Conference Finals. Maybe if Brunson would have been healthy, it'd probably been a very competitive Eastern Conference Final in spite of having the injuries and the missed players. This was the one season, and maybe this is an anomaly. No, maybe this is what did Draymond call this? The fluke. Maybe this fluke emotional season for me because I did not have anxiety. I didn't need any blood pressure medicine. I was pretty content with what we did for once. And then just watching this, it's tough to see this team actually succumb to the things that they've overcome all season, which is the injuries. But, you know, we knew it was about a time where someone had to give in to, you know, I always felt like if they had Jalen Brunson, they had a shot. You know, no matter what team they were playing against. But when you start seeing him get a little dinged up, a little slowed down, and people start figuring a little bit of him out, you know, limiting his game, you know that there's some attrition that's going on. So, I mean, my silence was because I think it's been a beautiful season. And I'm like thinking so far ahead to next season already. I'm like, I wish I could just do the Thanos snap and we reverse time and we go and start it over. I'm ready to run it back. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. I'm really ready to run it back because I think a lot of teams benefited from us not being healthy, and yet we were still kicking their arse all year. So it's like now I'm looking forward to – I don't like seeing Indiana do, you know, the goofy Urkel shirt, Halliburton, you know, sitting there running around with the Reggie Miller shirt. Dude, you were not that dude. It was TJ McConnell. Who was, let's just keep it a buck. Keep it a buck. It wasn't you. It was your little dude. He always kills the Knicks no matter what team he's on. But that's really what it came down to. But the overall feel, I love the season. So that's why you didn't get much fun.
No, I have to agree with you. There wasn't a sense of bitterness at the end of the season. I mean, I felt like they were playing with house money, to be honest with you, towards the end of this, and acquitted themselves so well. And, you know, it's funny. I said it earlier in the series, and I heard Stephen A., I mean, say the same thing, even though I think he's a clown. I really believe the Knicks would have put them out in 5 if they were at full strength, if both teams were at full strength. I think they're the better team. I do. Like flat out the better team. So I don't feel like we lost to an inferior opponent or anything like that. Those are always the toughest pills to swallow.
Mm-hmm.
I just you walk away and you just feel like a job well done. I you know, what can you say about what happened, honestly?
Yeah, I think when looking at the Pacers, I think they're ahead of schedule, to be honest. I thought this season I think they're farther now than I would think they thought they would be. So, you know, I watched the game last night. I did watch game 1. They had a shot to win. Honestly, they should have won. They should have won that game. So, I mean, I feel like they don't know that they're not supposed to be here, and teams like that can be scary. But I also do believe that if the Knicks were healthy, they would have won. I don't know. A lot of people say sweep. I don't think it would have been a sweep. Maybe 5-6, maybe. But yeah, but I think that they yeah, I mean the Knicks are the Knicks are a team that's built for playoff basketball. And that's what we didn't get to see them in their totality because of all the injuries and everything that happened. I mean, the fact that they did what they did, even against Philly, when you think about it, I mean, let's be honest, no matter how we feel about it, no matter what he hasn't shown in the playoffs, Julius Randle's a huge part of this team. And they didn't have him. So, I mean, they didn't have another guy who could create his own shot. Like, guys tried, and guys, I think, got better at doing that in his absence. So I think overall, if you look even before the playoffs, how Dante kind of grew this year, grew into a legitimate starting two guard, in my opinion. Like, I don't feel like we need to address the position anymore. Josh Hart, he always plays that way, but even he you could tell he put more time into his shooting, and he was hitting 3-point shots. So something like that, a little bit of growth there. We've talked about Deuce McBride all season. They essentially traded two young guys and elevated him right away. And he the moment wasn't too big for him. He stepped in, he played admirably. So a lot of growth happened this year from the time that like Randle got hurt. A lot of things changed. Rich too. Like, no one I think thought Hartenstein was as good a defensive center as he actually is.
Yeah.
So it's like there was a lot of things that happened this season that we didn't expect. And that's my one fear moving forward. And we're going to talk about this in a minute. My one fear moving forward is a lot of this was unexpected, but now it's on tape. So, coaches and defenses are going to start to adjust and try to make adjustments to these guys. So we're going to see it. And the Knicks now have a bigger target on their back. So it's going to be interesting to see how things are moving forward. But I agree with both you guys about this season. Definitely was. I know Brunson said it wasn't a success that they didn't win a championship. Every professional athlete says that. That's not something I'm not used to hearing in any sport. Derek Jeter famously used to say, if we don't win the World Series, it's a failure. Great players say this all the time. But I don't think the season was a failure, and I'm pretty sure you guys don't either. So.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely no failure.
Yeah.
Not with what we've been watching. Last 30 years, this was a title this year. We won the championship this year. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, so it's been.
It makes you wonder what if, though, right? I mean,
of course,
absolutely.
We did the same thing. I did the same thing last year. We wondered what if, because
for me, the bigger what if is this year, because I think we had the better team.
This year, I think this year for me, it's like we would have beat somebody's ass. I mean, I'm just going to give it a buck. We would have that January month. We were the best team in the NBA, and it wasn't even.
Yeah, we were.
We were just the best team in the NBA.
We were,
and it's not like it was a small sample size. I mean, that was a considerable sample that we were just rocking the NBA. Period. I mean, eating people's asses. Yeah. No, for me, it's the harder one this year. I know last year was tough, and the idea that we could have possibly had the Celtics, I think we could have had the Celtics this year at full strength. That's just my opinion.
I'll say this about
champions out. Denver's not in anymore.
Yeah. I'll say this about the Celtics. I feel like, I hate to say it because he seems like a nice guy, but their coach, Joe Mazzulla, is just not a good coach. Like, I'm sorry. There's nothing else I could say about him. There's nothing good I can say about him, in my opinion, because he's just he's in way over his head. Like, there are decisions he makes, and times I see him on the court, and I'm like, these guys are not listening to you.
Yeah.
Not listening to you. Jaylen Brown yesterday, after he hit the game tying three, which, by the way, was a gutsy shot, but it did glance off the backboard a little bit. If you watch it, it kind of
Wow.
did that little touch off the backboard into the hoop thing. But I digress. He was setting up a play, and Brown was like kind of away from the group at the time. And I'm like, this guy just hit the shot. He's not even paying attention to what the coach is saying about the final shot now that the Pacers are going to get. And it's just a bad situation. If they win, it's going to be because they're just a very talented group.
Yeah.
And if they get Porzingis back, they might still win the title.
He's fine.
It makes you wonder what happened with Ime Udoka, and maybe that they pulled the trigger on that too quick and were a bit too reactionary. Yeah. That man is a good coach.
He's a very good coach.
And they're in a championship window. I don't know whose mom he had relations with or what happened, but, it had to be something.
Two consenting adults. It was the wrong adult.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't seem like, it seemed like more of a we're the Celtics, we don't allow this thing to go on here type thing. Yeah. When you look at it now, right? There was really nothing super terrible that happened. It was an affair.
And I'm sure they did their research.
And look how good they were this year. They were a much improved team.
Absolutely. Their team on the upswing.
Yeah.
Yeah, big time.
So it's very much a case of it was a PR thing for them. It was, we're the Celtics. We don't want to look bad. We don't do this here. All those things, like the Giants are one of the teams, the New York Giants. They'll say, the Giants way. We don't do that here. Things like that. I mean, I've been hearing it forever. So, but I mean, there's certain things that certain organizations feel they're above, and that's fine. I mean, you can feel that way, but it might have cost you two NBA titles, in my opinion. It might have cost a double, because that team, the Celtics team, especially on the perimeter, it might be the most talented in the league.
Yeah.
But they literally don't have any leadership.
No.
They miss Marcus Smart on the court, in my opinion. And when I watched them last night, they were up 12 or 13 in the fourth. And they had a really good stretch. They were playing really good defense and playing their system. And then once they got up big, they really just kind of let up. And Indiana came back. And the coach, he never called a timeout, never tried to stop momentum. It's just a lot of things. I don't think he's ready. He's in way over his head. So that's my opinion. But
I think for those things that you pointed out is why I thought the Knicks healthy would have rolled them. Not saying they would have beat them, swept them, but the Knicks were so relentless as a team, and the Celtics are known to take their foot off the gas and get lost into in the game. They start watching instead of playing. So you couldn't do that against this team, not the Knicks team this year. They came in there ready to play every game like it was their last game, to the point it probably was what exhausted them in the end, because they played that way every game. So, and they were shorthanded. So I think at full strength, with the kind of intensity that Tom Thibodeau team comes in with, I think the Celtics would have had problems, especially minus KP. KP would have been way more competitive. I'm not acting like we would have ran into Boston and took over. But without KP, if we were at least OG and Bodega, if we had those two guys rolling in there after we beat Indiana, I like our shot, because I don't see where the difference maker would be other than Kristaps Porzingis being in the game, because he was the difference maker every time we played them. It was KP.
KP puts them over the talent threshold, but I think Eric's completely right. This is a team that's less than the sum of their parts, and that's a leadership vacuum.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you're in that situation with KP, they're just too much, and it doesn't matter. But you close that talent threshold a little bit, and it just doesn't seem like they are. I mean, look at that roster. I mean, seriously, the players on that team. I mean, excellent general manager work outside of the coaching hire, but they smell like a team as dominant as they were. And I think they were 11 games ahead of us in the standings or something ridiculous like that, ahead of the rest of the pack in the Eastern Conference, but they still seem gettable. And I think you saw that the other night with Indiana. Indiana, now granted, less experienced team. They probably coughed it up a bit at the end, but they could have gotten them in game one. which is kind of unthinkable considering what was in the end of the 6th seed.
Yeah, they were 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been I do think that they are one of the teams because they have a really good coach. I think Indiana's going to be heard from now for seasons to go. No matter what happens this year, they're going to be one of the teams we have to reckon with.
They get Matherin back next year too.
Yeah, they get Matherin back.
He's the difference maker for that team. I think that's the difference in why the Knicks were able to go up being shorthanded still. I think if they have Benedict Matherin, I think, and I'm a fan of his, Eric knows, I wanted the Knicks to get him.
Me too.
He can be a very, impactful player, given the opportunity. So,
I think, Craig, we're gonna get to those little things that we're hearing right now, those little bitsy rumors we're hearing right now, and we'll look for later. We're gonna look, towards the off season as well, and we'll talk about those things. But I want to spend a little bit more time on this season, what just happened for this season and the playoff run. There's been a lot of talk. There's been a lot of talk about the NBA wanting the Knicks in the finals, and there's been a lot of talk about. We heard it obviously in Philadelphia, then we heard it in Indiana. They want the Knicks to win. I just wanted to say this really quickly about that. They lost. I mean, they could have doctored up ways if they wanted to, in those other games to keep it close, and they didn't. So people need to stop with that crap. It bothers me. I'm tired of hearing it. Is there could there be a level of fixing in basketball? Of course. Absolutely. I'm not going to say that there isn't. There's, you could always do something to benefit a team and make it not look like you're doing it. Yes, that's possible. But I've said this before, and I said it when we first talked about this. Knicks haven't had a first round pick, the first pick overall in the lottery since Patrick Ewing. I mean, teams. So I just wanted to touch that one more time.
I don't think we've ever advanced in the lottery either. I don't think we've ever gotten better than we were initially seeded. Ping pong ball was
only once, and that was the year the pick went to Chicago. So we weren't even that was our pick. Yeah. That was the only time a pick the Knicks would have had ever jumped up. They've only fallen backwards. So.
I think the thing is with this whole the fixes in kind of thing. I think people had a very hard time believing the Knicks were good for once. I think that was really the thing. So it had to be all these other additives that the league is cheating for them, the refs are cheating. When I don't recall them reversing that call against Jalen Brunson in Houston. Because if you want to fix the game, maybe you want to fix that damn one. Or the other flagrant things that we saw Joel Embiid do during that series. Didn't see him get thrown out of any games and give us an opportunity then. So, when looking at it, I just think that it was very tough, and it was tough for Knicks fans. It took a while for a lot of us to come around and say, they might just be damn good. So you think it is smoke and mirrors or this anomaly, like most of them are pointing out, and it's not sustainable. I always laughed at that because the Knicks have been in the playoffs for 2 straight years right now, and they've been in the second round 2 straight years. That's not a fluke. That's consistency, last time I checked. And there's a greater chance each season we've seen they've gotten closer to being in the Eastern Conference Finals. They've knocked at the door twice in 2 years straight. So there's no thrown games or whatever you want to call it, an agenda to get us somewhere. It's just been hard work ethic and chemistry, and they're building something pretty special in New York right now. And that's really been the difference maker. It's not because of referees. I mean, I'm not sure they would love to have New York in the finals, but you have to be good enough to get there. And right now we're not. So that's what it is.
Yeah, I'm with you there. All right. So I brought up this question because I've heard it both ways. I have heard it kind of both ways since they've bowed out. I've heard some of the media who before was like, oh, they're not that good, or, say certain things about Jalen Brunson. Like, I've heard them kind of change their tune, and now they're saying we were wrong. you know. And then you have people like Draymond Green and other guys like that doubling down and saying, "Oh, this is a fluke. The Knicks aren't that good a team." But overall, how do you guys feel about the media narrative surrounding the team? Joe, go ahead. You can lead.
I think it has absolutely changed, and I think that that's a very beneficial thing for the franchise. I know Craig has brought up multiple times how important it is how the league views us, and I agree that, but I also think it is the media itself. I mean, I've seen a lot of flowers thrown the Knicks way, particularly after the Philly series, and I think that's a really good thing. But I think, and I'm going to use a Craig word again, there's a lot of hyperbole when it comes to the Knicks because people know that they get reactions from the Knicks.
Right.
Like Paul Pierce probably trying to draw attention to whatever venture he's trying to do right now is throwing a Knicks jersey on the ground and stepping on it. Like Stephen A. Smith dying and living with everything that they do. I mean, the Knicks are like Jupiter in the solar system. Their gravitational pull just attracts so much attention compared to like any other franchise except for maybe the Lakers. You know, it's just because of the nature of how significant the attention is for the Knicks, you're going to get people that are going to say jerky things or controversial things around this team because it attracts attention, and that is the name of the game. However, I think the perception of this team through the league and through the media has changed, and I think that's really, really important. People know that the Knicks are good now. I heard Kevin Garnett saying, of all people, another Boston Celtic, he's like, the Knicks are going to be scary next year, period. It's definitely changed for the better. And I think that has been hard fought and hard won. And we have to give a lot of credit to Jalen Brunson. We have to give a lot of credit to Tom Thibodeau. We have to give a lot of credit to Leon Rose. And we have to give a lot of credit to Julius Randle and to all of the supporting cast. I mean, the league looks at us differently right now, and that's not by accident. And Uncle Dolan. So I think that it is a real thing, and I think that it is about time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of Ty. Go ahead. Do you want to add anything to that? Because I have a couple things I want to say. But you go first.
Yeah, I'm going to add just a few things. I do believe the narrative has changed. I was just bringing this up actually today when discussing the Knicks during my carpool with my wife. The one thing I was bringing up, I said about this one guy in particular, which I said, wow, I was very shocked to hear the narrative change, where he said if the Knicks had Julius, he believes they would have beat Boston easily, is what it was said. And that was from Michael Wilbon. He's a complete Chicago homer. I don't care if he's talking good about New York at all. He goes out of his way to throw salt in the New York, iced tea. It doesn't matter. He just does not like New York sports, and clearly they're the second city, so we understand that, Mike. It's all good. Second city people take second place. That's what y'all do. But anyway, hey, don't hate the messenger. I didn't name Chicago the second city. Everybody else was second. But needless to say about that, I will respect the fact that he did come down off of that pedestal and said the Knicks were good. So you're seeing like people, mainly we got to think Kendrick Perkins. That's really the dude that deserves the media narrative being switched over. And to take it a little step further, he's actually holding ESPN accountable like a mofo. I mean, there's some takes that I was like, well, damn, why can't he be, Stephen A's position? Because he's actually doing what Stephen A used to do. He's keeping it real about what's going on in basketball and all other sports, I would assume, but I know basketball for in general. But when looking back, he was the guy that was stomping the yard saying the Knicks are very good. They're good. You need to stop talking bad about them. They're good. They're not the same old Knicks. So now you're starting to see the media sway. I thought it was really classy of Kevin Garnett to come out. He's defended the Knicks versus Paul Pierce while they're on his podcast. If you hear very colorful language being used on that podcast too, whereas he talks about, to basically Paul Pierce and said, how dare you talk about Jalen Brunson like that? Have you seen this dude? He's a dog. There was no bigger dog than Kevin Garnett. He just wasn't. For him to tip his hat to Jalen Brunson and to Randle, he actually stomped the yard for Randle on Stephen A the other day, talking about, hey,
I saw that.
Disrespecting Julius Randle. He's a dog. And that's consistent with what he said off camera on his pod, that Brunson is a dog, that Randle's a dog, that they got guys here that actually have some talent. So you have two former Celtics who won a championship, but they also respect the guy who's leading the bench because he helped them win that title. They know what Tibbs brings to the table. He knows New York is not soft anymore. So I think you're starting to see the media give the proper attention. It would be great if a guy like the Troutmouth Heathen would actually be a New York Knicks fan and actually did what Perkins said and say, hey, you know what? I get the one thing that, I mean, this will always annoy me about him having that platform is that you are still talking about getting a star here in New York? Are you kidding me? That, who's the one? Who can come and be the one? And Jalen's the 1A. I mean, well, damn, you almost got to the Eastern Conference Finals 2 years in a row with a star player. He's fifth in MVP voting. Are we playing games here? So these things are not helping the initiative to change the full narrative of the Knicks because you have people who are Knicks fans who are in the media, and they are the ones that's actually pissing on, the campfire in New York and saying, well, they're not really that good. If they're not campaigning for them, then that's where the issue lies. But I just think overall the perception, winning changes everything. I don't care what it is. You start winning, people want to shut up because there's no more jokes to be told. Now we got to talk about basketball now. And I said that a little while back. The jokes had to stop because there's nothing funny about winning. Winning is credible. So now all of a sudden, now you got to pinpoint and pick out things that kind of, let me smudge. Because now you're smudging. But then you're watching a guy like Jalen Brunson kicking everybody's ass that is on his level, supposedly. So these big Goliath stars, he's coming in and competing at a high level with. So you got to tip your hat to him because now players know. The media may not know, but the players know when a guy's good.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything both you guys said. It definitely has, the media narrative has gotten better surrounding the Knicks. The national media especially is the one that I've noticed. Locally, there are some really weird takes out there. I mean, if you guys might not, you guys might not be listening to the stuff I listen to, but there's a lot of like, oh, how could you be happy about this season from local media in New York saying these things like, how could you celebrate it? And this team they did no better than last year. They still just got kicked out in the second round. And why are we talking about all this? And I'm like, did you not pay attention to everything that happened? Like, there are reasons. And I don't like using injuries as excuses. And one or two, I said this in the chat, one or two, you can kind of be like, all right, you can fight through them. But they just kept coming. Like, the hits just kept on coming. And not Motown, not like Motown hits. Those are hits that you want to keep coming. These were not those hits. So that's the shocking thing to me about the media narrative is that nationally people are starting to say, hey, they got something going on there.
Yeah.
But locally, there's still a little segment of the local media that's kind of like, and maybe it's Stockholm syndrome, maybe because the local media has been covering this team. So, like maybe they just they just can't accept it. I don't know. But
it might be.
Yeah, it might be, right? I don't know. But I'm happy. I'm a happier fan now when I listen to the discussion around the team, especially because during the playoffs, all we get is national media coverage. After the first round, especially. So it was nice to hear people say really good things about it, like Kenny Smith, who always never misses an opportunity to crap on the Knicks because of they did him wrong and dirty and whatever.
Yeah.
Even he was like, no, this team they're going in the right direction. There's something going on. Barkley said it. So like it was really nice to hear that, even though they all kept picking the Pacers in games that the Knicks won. So that was funny. But here we go. So let's hop in. Let's hop into the off season. So we're not gonna talk about too much about other. We won't talk about other possibilities that are out there, except for one guy, because I keep hearing his name and I don't understand it. But whatever. So there's some key off-season decisions that the Knicks have to make internally on their own roster. We've touched on this every once in a while. So there's a few things that I've gathered and I've been following the past couple of days just to kind of have talking points for us to discuss. The first one is the news that we heard yesterday about the guy who literally will go down as the best free agent signing in sports history by the end. Jalen Brunson apparently not looking for the max, doesn't want to wait the year. He's very willing to sign the 4-year, $156 million contract extension to get 5 more years of certainty rather than waiting for next year for the 5-year, $270 million extension.
Dude, take our money.
Huh?
Take our money now.
Yeah. I have to say, it doesn't surprise me that he would do this because of the guy that we know that he is.
Mm-hmm.
But it does surprise me that we heard this news now.
I know. That was
right?
weird.
Yeah, that's the surprising thing because you would think his agents, and I know it's his whatever, Leon Rose's son, right? Is his agent? Is that the
They're
one?
all connected like the mafia.
Right? So I get that, but you would think that he would kind of be like, well, it's in the best interest of my client to wait a little bit, maybe put a little pressure, maybe lay things out there. And I know it's his dad and whatever, but still, I still think if it were me, I'd have been like, I hear, I'm good, but I need to take care of him and we need to do something for him. And, I get a bigger cut too if I get him more money. So, I would have been a little bit more coy about it. So did that surprise you guys that we heard about it now and right after the season ended?
Absolutely. I think it's great news. I think you sign sign him to that contract as soon as he's ready to sign it. I think it comes in at 39 per or something like that. When people are sitting there at like $50 million contracts, $50 million per contracts. I think Zach Levine is making almost $50 million a year. You sign him to that as soon as possible, but it may be like Brady did for years. I'm going to take a little bit less money, but I want to win. I want us to be competitive. I want us to be able to re-sign our free agents. And there may be something very calculated in all of this. If he is willing to take that contract and not wait the year to get probably $11 million more per year, this is probably a done deal. So it doesn't matter if it gets out, if he's really intending to sign it, but it's still strange that it got out.
Yeah. Ty, what was your level of shock, I guess, or were you not shocked at all that?
I just want to be able to find the letter in which James Dolan wrote to Brunson. I'm on sure it said, I'll drink a tub of your bathwater.
Man, that's wrong.
Because let me tell you one thing. He should drink a tub
of Craig's uncle like that.
If he should drink a tub of his bathwater if this is true. Because let me tell you one thing. That would be the biggest damn discount.
Yeah.
Probably crazy Eddie was giving away televisions and going insane. Because who the hell would have thought? Couple days removed from a playoff loss, and this dude is doing like this and going, nah, I don't need it all. He threw up the greatest love signal. I mean, since Batman, was trying to save the city. I mean, just think about it. He's saying, I take care of me in this little way so you can take care of the rest of those other guys. Because that is the ultimate team player, team sacrifice, because he knows the Knicks are going to struggle to keep this team together if he does want the max. And let me tell you, that's maybe the most classiest thing we've seen from anybody really in sports at this point in time, because we are in an age where it's about the money. Whether you're great or good, you want to get paid as much as possible. And the timing was it's a shock to me, but knowing what this guy has just stood for the whole year and the time that he's come here, he didn't seek out a huge amount of money. Salute, coach. He didn't seek out a huge amount of money to begin with. And this team theme has always been about sacrificing a little for the betterment of the team and the organization. That's what we've seen from every signing Leon Rose has done. They've just been damn friendly for the team and while still rewarding the player. If he's convinced to do this, and as I told Craig the other day on our thread, our private thread, I said, well, he basically told OG to sit his ass down because if I'm taking a cut, guess what? You bleeding too because you're really not getting that kind of money because you're definitely not better than me. And I'm willing to take a cut. I just think it sends such a great, strong message about winning and about being a great teammate to his team because he could easily hold the Knicks hostage.
Oh yeah.
Give him
Oh,
every
definitely.
damn bit of the money he wants because you can't let him go. You can. There's no way. There's no.
No.
MSG would be a mecca of burnt matches if they would have let him go. And because you didn't want to pay him, this can't be Jeremy Lin no more. This is your savior to the franchise. You've been looking for one, you have one now, and he's willing to say now, I'm good. And it doesn't shock me because if you ever listen to his conversations and what he has as a person, which I think comes across very clear in front of the camera, and then when he's even on his podcast, man. This is the greatest gift to any New York Knicks fan. What are you going to say about that, Nick? What, you going to boo him in the Garden next year? You can't boo him. You can't. You better go build that damn statue.
Yeah, I mean, what we see more now is guys waiting because they want to get the extra year to get the max. And the fact that he's willing to do it the opposite way, like I said, honestly, especially in Knicks history, the best free agent signing in Knicks history. And if they do wind up winning a championship, the best, in sports history, in my opinion. There's been some great ones. Yes, there has. I mean, Shaquille O'Neal obviously comes to mind, going to the Lakers. There's been some really, really great free agent signings, but this guy and what he's done to this franchise and how he's a self-made player, not the greatest athlete, but just a fantastic basketball player. And to choose to come here and to embrace the team and by doing this, even showing leadership, there's a lot of things you could read into this decision by him. And like you said, that's a great point, Ty, about OG. For a number of reasons. Number one, I mean, it was nice. We're going to talk about that too. He's got a lot of praise inside the organization for playing on Sunday. They apparently it showed something. And don't get me wrong, he did that because the narrative on him was he doesn't do that.
Exactly.
So that's one of the reasons. And he did it as well also because it is a contract year and he can at least say, I tried. I gave you what I could for 5 minutes. And yet, so in my opinion, you're right. He's going to say, they're going to say, we can't pay you more than we're paying Jalen.
No way.
So,
no.
Right?
No.
So
I think
it could work out.
I think with Brunson, there's a lot of goodwill too, and the fact that the Knicks gave him the contract that no one else was going to give him. The Knicks believed in him before anyone. I mean, everybody thought they were crazy for handing him that contract.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
And nothing for nothing. I heard them talking about Brunson a year and a half before they even tried to sign him, that they were already interested in him.
Mm-hmm.
The organization's belief in him has to mean a lot.
It does.
They've given him the keys. He's the Nick. He's Nick. He's the Nick. Saint Nick, whatever you want to call it. He's the dude. He's the dude, and he's delivering. I mean, we've seen Patrick, we've seen Melo, seen Steph. We see a lot of iterations of the guy coming in and being the guy. And there's no knock against those guys, but they've not been the guy. Like, this guy's been the guy. He came here and they started winning. And then the next year comes out and they kept winning. There's been not this level of consistency. I mean, granted, Patrick had it throughout his time. They were always in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. But when you think about a guy like Jalen Brunson coming in, who's underwhelming in so many ways, and yet he's come and done the one thing that all Knicks fans have been waiting for, and that's to be a winner. somebody to come here, put the franchise in the back and win and keep winning and scare the living daylights out of any team. And to be in it, when is a Knick other than, are we really going to say, I think I might be right, I hope that I'm wrong, but we had one MVP, which we know that's the big dude.
Willis Reed, yeah.
Willis Reed. I don't recall another top 5 MVP finishing from any of the Knicks. Do y'all?
Ewing twice.
Ewing was twice? Okay.
Finished top 5 twice. Melo in 2013 finished in the top 5, I believe, in MVP voting. And I think that's it. I can't recall anybody else in my lifetime.
Lance Thomas.
So
Tim Thomas. Stop messing up. The game.
Yeah, so I mean that was a decision I didn't expect this to be this offseason, but I was surprised that we got that news, and I hope now, man. I hope now. Yeah, we're gonna table the coach, we're gonna table the like spider talk and the Randall possible trade and all that. We'll table that for when we do the offseason show.
Mhm.
I don't want to talk about because Julius is not a decision they have to make now, right?
Yeah.
Like he's under contract. Not a decision they have to make immediately. So we'll talk about that in the future. There is a guy, though. I do want to bring this one guy up because I've heard him in a couple of times, and I heard a ridiculous trade package for him, and I just have to bring him up. So DeMar DeRozan's name, Craig put him in the chat, came up again. And I'm seeing people off like trades of a player, any number of, could be any player, and then like 3 firsts or 3 or 4 firsts. And I'm like, this dude is going to be 35 in August. Why? And again, I do think he would help. I do.
Of course he would.
But yeah, but I'm not giving up that much for a 35-year-old.
No.
Are you kidding me?
The who?
Yeah.
No, but this is what teams throw out there when they're considering. Remember when Detroit was talking about 2 number ones for Bojan?
Yeah.
You know, this is crazy. But I got to tell you, I like the idea now better than when we talked about this last year because our outside shooting has improved so much. I think I like that idea more because everybody's not packed in the paint. We have players that can play on the perimeter a lot more than we did last year.
Right. Well, one of the things I did notice during, and I don't think I said this last week. I said it in the chat to these guys though. Indiana really exploited the mid-range in our series.
Mhm.
Like they had guys hitting mid-range shots, and no one is better at that than DeRozan. So if you want to do something like that, then yeah, I understand the signing, and I would have no problem trading for him. But I'm not giving 3-4 first-round picks for 30 guys going to be 35 in August. No way.
No, that's malpractice.
No way.
So are these scenario trades, or is this something that has legs? I have not. I mean, for once, I'm not even on top of it. So
Nothing has legs right
I don't even
now.
know.
Yeah, no.
I'm
This
usually
is
like sitting there scouring. I didn't even hear anything about it. My life must be getting busier. But what is this? What is this scenario? DeRozan?
this was someone, I can't remember which, it might have been Kevin Lowe or someone like that who mentioned players who might be good fits for them.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Zach Lowe, sorry, not Kevin Lowe, Zach Lowe.
Yeah.
And his name came up. 17. 17? Okay.
Kelsey Clinton? Kelsey Jones?
And his name came up, and I was like, all right, what are they talking about? And then he threw out like all those picks, and I'm like, was he actually really thinking that? Or was he just like saying, I don't know. I didn't hear it. I just saw it in print. I don't know, 3 or 4 firsts and a player. And I'm like, maybe 10 years ago.
Was it a pipe like clanking, like a crack pipe hitting?
I'll say this, though. He would fit the type player that the coach loves. He's another guy who would fit what Thibodeau loves in a player. So,
well,
right.
it did have legs at one point, too, because
Yes.
Kerry wanted him over, I forgot who we signed. So
It'd be a nice option if the defense collapsed on Brunson, too.
Yeah.
He's good.
Yeah, he's too old now. I mean, I hate. It's weird saying that because he's 35, but in basketball, that's old. So
It is.
I give him Alex Burks in a couple seconds. They can have that.
He does have kind of an old man game, though.
he
He'll
does.
be there.
He does.
He'd be
He
great.
does. Burks is another guy who's a free agent.
Sign and trade.
What do you do there? I mean, are we talking about the Burks that we got when the trade first happened? Or are you talking about the Burks that we saw in the Indiana series, who was arguably our second best player? You could make a case that he was their at least second best scorer. You can definitely make that case. So, does he have a future?
I don't know. I mean, I just think it's kind of. I'm looking at this team. You got to think about when they're whole. You know,
Right.
these roles are available because they're injured players. So, you know, now you're going to pencil in Julius probably getting his playing 50 minutes of a 48-minute game now. So when he comes back, so you can pencil that in. We know Mitch is going to probably come in and he's probably going to play, 60 minutes a game. This is how it goes. So now this big rotation that we've benefited from, and these guys next man up we've benefited from, it's going to fall back into place once these guys get added back in. So do you need an Alec Burks? Because now Alec Burks is basically, you're saying, do you take Deuce McBride's minutes and give him to Alec Burks? Probably not.
No.
Why not? Bodega, is he going to play minutes ahead of Deuce? Probably not. So, other than if an injury occurs, it's probably not going to happen. So a lot of these guys like Alec Burks, I don't see him coming in. He's probably going to be 13th, 14th man, in a 9-man rotation from Tom Thibodeau. He's really not going to be an easy guy to just keep plugging in. He might not see a lot of minutes. So, they got to pare down. It's going to do that.
Yeah. I wasn't going to bring this up because it's old. It's old news. Water under the bridge. But one of the biggest things this team lacks is exactly what Obi gives. And we've said this in the past, but the fact, and I said this, the one huge mistake that this front office has made, not trading him. You want to trade him, fine. But for 2 second-round picks and nothing, like...
Worse. That's the worst trade.
They definitely could have used him, obviously.
Yeah.
And this goes to a larger point with this team and with this coach, is that you better stay on his good side. Because if you go to Thibodeau's bad side, he has no time for you.
Grimes, perfect example.
Another one. Once you get on his bad side, that's it. You're gone. They're getting rid of you. And to me, when it's talent, that's a problem. That is an issue that this team might have to face going forward. It's probably also an issue why these guys keep saying we don't want to play for him. We love him, and like we said, we have to give him credit. This team fought all year. They fight for him. They play for him. You got to give the coach credit.
Absolutely.
But things like this, they're red flags. They are red flags. And as this team gets older, you're going to need to infuse it with youth and athleticism. That's the way the game is going. You need athletes on the court. And the Knicks have 2 on the whole roster, like maybe.
Wow, I'm going to say, I was going to ask you which 2.
Well, Dante's a good athlete. Dante is a good athlete.
I think he's good for his height.
Yeah.
When I think about basketball, I always think length. I mean, I always say I like my teams tall. No offense, and I'm a Brunson supporter, but I do like the lanky, tall guys. I think OG's the most athletic guy we got, and I don't think he's like that athletic. I just think he's a very strong, big player. But jumping out the gym, not really. I mean, he's not a bouncer like Obi is.
He doesn't strike me as fluid off the move.
No, he's not.
I see him as athletic.
He's probably the best athlete on this team. Maybe next to Deuce McBride, who's athletic.
That's what I was going to say. Deuce is probably the next guy.
He's undersized, but he's probably the best athlete on the entire Knicks roster. Is Deuce McBride.
What about
Who's that?
What about Hart?
He is, and then he's not. Because I don't see him jump. Because he's even said on his podcast he can really even dunk for a long time. That podcast is fantastic, by the way.
It is very good show.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I just think he's just so talented as far as aggression. He plays like an athletic guy. It's just, I think his effort is so much better than everybody else's on the floor. It makes him look more athletic. But I always think the Knicks are a very short team. That's the one thing that I do worry about. And it does require you to have the talent that's tall enough to be athletic, like the Siakam types. The one thing about Thibodeau, which, I mean, I kind of like and then I don't like, and I'm kind of piggybacking off of Eric in this sense, is when looking at him, when you do fall out of favor with him, he will dismiss you. But the problem is that and I know it's this young dude is getting on my damn nerves, and he won't commit to playing the style that I want to play. He wants to go do athletic things and bounce off the ground, and I'm like, well, I want to be on the ground, and if you don't commit to defense, you're a sucky player. That's what I believe Tom Thibodeau thinks about people that don't do that. But you have to implore some youth in there that is athletic and goofy. I hate to say it that way. You got to have some goofy athletes in there that, and I'm not calling this kid goofy because he's not. He's a very nice kid, and he just lost his mom recently. It's Derek Lively. When you watch him play in Dallas, the dude, will he probably finish as an NBA scholar? Probably not. But yeah, does he not jump out the gym and give you everything like a pogo stick, and next thing you know, he slammed it down your throat and he's running up and down the floor. He's like, he had too much sugar and he's running down, but you feed off of that from the bench when you got guys that can jump like that and play that style of basketball. The Knicks, I mean, we're talking about a draft coming up at some point where some of these things need to be addressed with athleticism, and, we might trade that for Harrison Barnes. I've mentioned him before, but that could be the kind of player Tom would swap out because he does not want to really cultivate a guy that's athletic only.
He was supposed to be our draft pick last year, too, until the hijinks that Dallas pulled at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Eric Lively, the 10th pick, was supposed to be ours.
Yeah. He's athletic. I mean, I'm saying these are guys like Gafford, the guys you see on Dallas. These are, mobile bigs who are all athlete. That's all they are. And it's nothing wrong with having it. Dennis Rodman was an all athlete when he played for Detroit, when he was drafted. He was just a guy who can run up and down the court faster than everyone and jump higher, and was willing to sacrifice his body and block shots, draw fouls. You need those type of things. And granted, do I see flaws in Obi's game and understand a lot of what Tibbs didn't like about it? Absolutely. I'm an old school dude. I get it. But you need those kind of players once in a while on your team, because we could have used that. Could we not have used some young legs?
That's what I was saying. That's why I went this way.
Come on.
Yeah. That's why I went this way with Craig's comment, because he's right.
Yeah.
They could have used Obi Toppin. And it's just, again, there has to be a line somewhere where the front office says, no, we think you got to make this work. And we've seen it twice now. If you want to throw Cam Reddish in there, even though he's crap, but we saw it with Cam too. Like, it's the same thing. So I understand wanting the coach to be able to play, coach the team that fits his personality, but that's why the GMs get paid to make these tough decisions.
I want to ask you guys a question. Do you feel like, and granted, there's a bad narrative out there about these injuries are Tom Thibodeau related that we've seen these guys endure, which is a falsehood, because clearly there were accidents that happened during the game. Him overplaying Jalen Brunson had nothing to do with Jalen breaking his hand. Let's just keep it apart. Julius falling on his shoulder had nothing to do with Tom Thibodeau. I mean, granted, he should have had him probably at the damn game. We'll keep that on mind. But those are not due to attrition and him overusing his players. But do you think that the front office is going to now start talking to him about the fact that you've invested a lot of monies in these guys coming up, which would be You invested in Brunson, although it might be a discount. You invested in OG. Maybe it is a discount. Who knows? You got iHeart coming, hopefully coming back. You're investing a lot of funds in these guys. Do you think there's going to be at least some sort of conversation table to say, let's try to get to the playoffs healthy, while being very competitive during the regular season, but let's try to get these guys healthy and expand this roster a little bit with your usage, because you can't invest those monies in Jalen Brunson and all of a sudden you get to the playoffs and he may be injured.
No,
because you are not using the depth that we are allowing you to have. Because Jalen, technically next season, I know it might sound like it's like, well, he's still young. Not in Thibodeau years. He's not young in Thibodeau years. They're going to have to get a solid damn backup to dispel this guy at least some 5 to 10 minutes a game, which is kind of crazy. I got to say 5 to 10 minutes because that's probably what the dude's going to get. But you need 5 to 10 minutes to say, go sit on the bench. These guys right.
Go ahead, Joe.
It's almost on the front office right now that they have to build a deep enough team that Tom has no choice but to play a bigger rotation.
Mm-hmm.
That they almost have to give him the kind of options where he can't just play 7-8 people during the season all the time. We almost had that this year. If Bojan sticks around, maybe he becomes a ninth person as he gains trust with him. But Thibodeau's one of those leopards that can't change his spots. So it almost comes down to team construction. If you were concerned about the team breaking down and then playing too much minutes, you need to build a deeper team that Tibbs trusts.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the only thing you can do.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you, Joe, because like you said, he's not going to change. So they need to have more options and a deeper talent base.
Mm-hmm.
And like we've said, Ty, like they have 2 picks in this draft. Yes, it's not a great draft, but if you can add young, athletic, skilled players,
Mm-hmm.
if you want them to be defensive stoppers, that's fine. But they'll be cheap. They're not going to cost a lot. And that's the kind of talent you need right now because let's be honest, this salary cap is growing. The Knicks are adding more and more money, which leads me to Isaiah Hartenstein. We've talked about this many, many times with, they have Mitch signed already. He's got a decent contract. How do you sign both of them? And I've said I see them as one player. Like that's how I view them. And someone, I forget, it might have been Tommy Beer or someone today, actually did a piece on how you want to keep them together because they're the perfect complement. And there's stats to back it up, and they show you all the things. Obviously, health is a big deal with Mitch, but just on the court, want to keep them together. So we know that they have early bird rights on Hartenstein.
Yeah.
So they are limited to what they can offer him. Essentially, it comes down to this: the Knicks can offer him $74 million, 4 years, $74 million. Every other team can offer him 90. That's essentially what it comes down to. So, do you guys think he would leave $16 million on the table to stay with the Knicks?
He's got a baby on the way. He ain't leaving money on the table. And he's made squat in his career. OKC could pull that kind of deal out if they were pushing all in. OKC is somebody that could go in and sign him. I don't know how many people have that much cap space available hanging around. And I thought the number was 16 a year we could pay him.
It's 4 years, $74 million. That's yeah. Yeah. That's what that works out to. 16 a year.
4 at 16 is 64.
Something else. Let me check it because I have my numbers.
Maybe it's 16 first year and increasing.
That's probably it. Go ahead. Let's see. Oh, by the way, Jalen Brunson was named second team All NBA. Just put that out there.
I said probably second team, although it should have been first.
Yeah.
Should have been first.
Oh.
Top 5 player. It's positionless. The top 5 MVP voters. Why would you not be first team?
Yeah.
That's simple.
I mean, it's people are upset. Apparently, Tatum leapfrogged him. I don't have a super big problem with it. Do I think he probably should have been first team? Yes.
Yeah.
Am I super upset that he's not? No. I don't let that stuff get to me.
Yeah, I
It's
don't
not
care.
that important. So it's nice that he got his flowers. He's one of the best 15 players in the NBA, and that's all I care about. That's what he deserves. So it's gonna be interesting to see. Hold on a minute. Let's see maximum amount. What are they talking about? Sometimes they get into these whole old big they try and take a very easy question and make it into something complicated. All I want to know is what's the max he can get.
Are you using ChatGPT at all for search?
No, I probably should. I use it for everything else.
It's the bomb. It really is.
Yeah, I use it for everything else, so it's surprising that I haven't. So let's see.
They can offer him up to $72.5 million for you.
Yeah, that's what it is, 72.5.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
Yep, just found it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and OKC is one of the teams that apparently will show interest in him. Yep. And if they had his full bird rights.
Yeah, it would be no story.
It would just be a period.
I don't know. I'm one of those people, and I know we're still seeing it with Brunson. Could you convince Hartenstein to take that $16 million when Brunson is saying, "I'm leaving almost $100 million on the table my damn self"? I don't
think so.
I mean,
and it's not a knock against Hartenstein, but the guy hasn't made much money in his career, and this is his opportunity to make money.
Or he might do a 2+1. You never know. He could become a free agent again.
What if he does a 1-1? Because they're saying, like, if he plays another year here, he'll get full bird rights, and then the Knicks can sign him to more money.
They did it with Hart.
Yeah.
You know?
If it's something that he agrees to, and he said many times he wants to stay, a lot of guys say that and then wind up leaving. So let's put that caveat out there. But, I mean, I think if it were me and I knew I had the opportunity to get paid even more if I stayed a year, I'd probably choose that route.
The Knicks have not lost anybody. I say that all the time. When you think about the Knicks, I mean, these were the old Knicks. I would say, well, his ass is gone, so just forget about it.
What about his injury history, though? Like,
that's the other thing.
It makes more sense for him just to take the bag now because he blows out an Achilles. A lot of that evaporates.
I know. And that's kind of where that's going to be when we start talking about the draft. That's kind of going to be my focus on that show when we start talking about the draft picks and the 2 picks. I think they have to go with size. That's just a quick.
Absolutely.
I agree.
So, but we'll see. We will see what happens. The last guy, which we've kind of talked about all season, is OG. Obviously, his contract is up, and he wants to get paid. We kind of touched on
the topic at all.
Yeah, we kind of talked. We kind of talked about it before when Ty mentioned that now he would look really bad if he was like, "No, I want to get paid this maximum amount of money." When the best player and now second team All NBA player says, "Yeah, I'll take less to stay." So it's gonna be. I'm more interested in negotiation with him than any player I can think of in recent time, because he can point to the fact that, hey, we were 25-6 when I played.
Mm-hmm.
You can't argue with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Knicks can say, Yeah, but you didn't play at all. You know, like there's a lot of things you could throw out here,
Yeah.
um, and none of it would be wrong.
No.
I'm going to stick with what I said before. I think this contract's already done. I think this contract was done when they traded for him. I don't think there's going to be much in the way of negotiation. I think it's going to be the timing of when he signs.
Mm.
It would that logic would make sense because of what they gave up to get him.
Yeah.
So that logic does make sense to
And
me.
also the connection with who his agent is. His agent is Leon Rose's son, for God's sakes. I mean, talk about inside information. I'm sure that I don't know. I believe that contract is already done, personally.
But the fact that we hit no one, like there hasn't been one one little leak about what's possible.
I know, but I mean, as much as I've maybe not been as supportive of RJ and Quickly over the years, you don't give the two of those up without knowing pretty damn well, especially having that kind of connection with the agent, that they're going to resign. I'm sure that there's been conversations. I'm sure that there's been some kind of agreement. I still feel like it's done. I don't know, unless something weird happens with the market or OG is not sold on being a Knick. I think OG is sold on being a Knick. He recently threw flowers at Thibodeau too. Apparently, he loves playing for Thibodeau. I think that this will get done, and I think it will be a big number, but I don't think it's going to be as big as a lot of the media has been reporting. A lot of the media has been talking like $40 million for him. I don't see that happening. I think we're all going to be upset at whatever the number is, but I think in hindsight, the number isn't going to be as bad as we think it is.
So, Ty, I'm going to put this to you now after we're having this talk. Do you think he'll take less years, or yeah, that's my question. Do you think he'll take less years, or for a little bit a bump in like a higher number, or the other way around?
I think that could be possible. I mean, when you watch how they've structured some of these contracts, they've done the descending thing. That's one thing they talked about with iHeart, is that, well, now they're trying to sign him. Oh, and by the way, Mitch's contract is descending now. So you have the cushion. Like, Brock Aller is a genius, obviously. He's the best capologist in the NBA. I don't think it's even a close second to him. I think you would see something like that with OG. I mean, we always think a lot of years where we can think less years. There's not been one Knick that has gotten all the money that they're supposed to get. There's not one. Julius took a hit. RJ took a hit. Quickly's probably gone because he didn't want to take a hit.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we just got to really read the room here. Hart took a hit to fit DiVincenzo into his contract. Everyone
big hit.
Yeah, everybody took a hit. So I don't think that you would come here without knowing you're going to take a damn hit. Hartenstein, obviously, when we look at him, he hasn't made his money, so it's going to be kind of hard to tell him to go sit somewhere. But the culture has been what it is. These guys have come in and they've kind of sacrificed some of their funds to fit a teammate in, and to keep the culture alive. Julius, like I said, Julius didn't get what he was supposed to get. And at that time, he was our best player.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even close. Like, he came in here, the Knicks didn't have another option other than, I mean, I'm not trying to belittle RJ, but I'm saying he was the main cog in the wheel. So when he came here, you let him go, your franchise is sunk. And they said, nope, you can stay here, but you're not going to get all your money. And he signed the dotted line. So I just think that's just been kind of the atmosphere. They bring in guys that are linked to who they are. Julius is back as a CAA client again. I mean, the brotherhood is real. I always say that when you look at it, especially if Jalen takes this hit, takes one for the team. I mean, OG may just very well take less years at that right number, and maybe those descend. Maybe you take a higher bump early and then make it go down later. I mean, that could be very true about this situation, and giving him less years will allow him to be a free agent again. I mean, It's not like the cap is going to go down. Now they're going over to ABC, so it's not going to go down.
The back and forth with Randall and CAA seems weird.
I think I might be froze. I'll be back, dudes.
Yeah, a little bit. So I agree, though. I kind of agree with that, the back and forth with the CAA thing with Randall. And a lot of guys are doing that, though. So
I think he originally left CAA because his agent left CAA.
yeah.
But yeah.
So it's weird. Like you want to stay excited about the team, and you want to think about the future going forward, but these are big questions that they have to answer. So I think it's going to be interesting. Like I said, I'm interested in the negotiation, and if he signs quickly, then I'll totally agree that it was done already. Like I'll agree with you that.
Well, I don't think he's going to sign right away because of the money. Because of the money that's involved with the contract, I think signing him right away eats up the cap right away. I think what happens is that's the last move we make in the offseason because we have his full bird rights.
Yeah. So, I mean, I agree with you. It's, build out the team and then sign him if it's already done, just announce it then. It's just, I don't know. I have big time trepidation with him, and as you guys know already, not because he's not a great player. He is. He's fantastic. Defensively, he's amazing.
It's a Porzingis situation. He's great when you have him in, but he's going to miss 25 plus games.
Yeah, it is. Except he's not as talented as Porzingis, so I want to stomach that one a little bit more.
He might be more impactful for this team than Porzingis would be on this team.
I mean, that's fair. That's a fair statement because he's their best perimeter defender, and they have guys who play good interior defense. So, KP stretches the floor, but OG is a good 3-point shooter. So yeah, I mean, I can see that.
Being that we're going to close, I'm going to throw out something crazy.
Okay.
And this is going to be what a lot of this summer is probably going to be like. Would you trade Randall and Bogdanovich for Cat in the offseason?
If Minnesota wins the title, which might happen, I can see them moving on from him. But if they don't, I can't.
Many may very well win the NBA championship.
They may. They very well might. And I'm a fan on a team with Jalen Brunson. I think Karl Anthony Towns is a very good ad in that regard. But I just don't. If they don't win a championship, I don't see that happening. So.
Are we talking about Kit Kat?
Yeah. I mean, if they win, he has no reason to stay, right? Like, it's his team partially, but
he's a weird guy.
He is. He's a weird guy. You're right.
A weird guy.
He is.
Did you read this? You saw the tweet?
No,
I didn't. He had a tweet.
He had a tweet I think I posted. Well, Joe wouldn't have seen it. I think I placed it in the thread. I know Craig saw it, I believe, where he talks about the goat milk.
He drinks goat milk?
No, it's what he told. He told Ant-Man about him being the goat, and what he was. Well, oh yeah, I'm like, dude, you might have wanted to.
He told Anthony Edwards that he's the goat.
Oh no, he says, "Goat, I need to." He had these little milk emojis. And needless to say, his quote wasn't about milk. It was something that looks like milk, and how he wanted to pour it on him as the goat. And I'm like, well, I'll just let y'all look. It wasn't you who.
I do remember it now. I remember you sending it.
A little bit Leche, but it wasn't Trace Leche.
This is filling me with confusion and dread.
I'm just saying. I was like, you wouldn't be in the locker room with me after that.
Was that real? Because I can't find it. Unless you pulled it down. He might have taken it.
That
down.
just sounds straight up silly.
I hope it was fake first and foremost.
Yeah.
I hope it was fake, and I hope he deleted it. If that's
I mean, I know that.
I
Did you check Craig in the comments?
I saw it. I am not sharing that one though. That's fine. That can stay on the sidelines.
Look, it's Craig, but that was pretty accurate, Craig. I sent it to Craig on IG, so I know he definitely got it, and I shared it within the group. And I was like, if this is going on, this is well. And the page I got it from, they're pretty good to do. So I would think they would have fact checked it, and I hope he deleted it. It was just the most bizarre moment. It was a diddler moment. It was a whole diddler moment. Yeah. He's a weird dude. I was like, I don't want him on the Knicks after that. But this is.
Was this he posted this after?
I think it's after they beat
Denver.
I'm hoping it was a made-up account. I really seriously hope it is, because I was like, "You're a little weird, dude." I'm just gonna tell you, you got. And there's just been other things that have like, nah, you shouldn't be telling nobody that. You just shouldn't. Even if you meant it.
Yeah, I don't.
That's the inside joke. Keep it inside. That's all I'm
I
just
don't
saying.
think that was real. That doesn't.
I pray it's not, Eric. I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah,
I know where I got it from. They usually up on their stuff, so I'm just hoping he deleted and rescinded it or whatever he did.
It just
the milk's going bad. Just put it that way.
Well, regardless, I mean, honestly, I don't give a crap about any of that. If you could play, you could be on my team.
So, I just thought it was weird energy. I'm like, man, I'm really old. This is just a weird time for me in this world.
I know, man.
There you go, Coach. Hey, there's a lot of stuff coming out. We're gonna probably be shocked about at our age.
All right. Well, let's take a moment of silence to the 2023-2024 New York Knicks. Bow our heads and thank them for a great season. Mm-hmm. It's been so let's do the silence first, then I'll come back and talk. Mm-hmm. All right. Mm-hmm. You're both your heads. That was great. Yeah, it was a fantastic season. One that I don't think any of us saw coming. Mm-hmm. At least I didn't. Joe did pick them to win 50 games, so that's all Joe.
But I was wrong about a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, but
hey,
you got that right. So
I was reading today on the fan site about me tearing apart the Hart trade. Well, that didn't age well.
I didn't. I tore it apart too. I mean, I can't take. Hey, I did not like that trade. I'll be the first to admit it. I was wrong. Yeah, now I'm fine. That he was well worth the first round pick, so I'm happy with it.
Yeah,
he was worth it. So, but I want to also thank all you guys for who rode with us this year, who keep coming back each week to support us. I want to thank you all for that as well. I would not enjoy doing this. It was just the three of us talking and nobody listening. So I want to thank you guys for the continued support. Our cadence going forward is probably going to be every other week and not every week, since we won't have as much to talk about. But we'll definitely stay tuned to the Twitter handle and to the Facebook page. We will keep you guys updated there on when we're doing shows, if we do a special one.
Draft show.
I think, the thing is, I'm not going to be around. So if you guys want to do a draft show, you can. I'm actually going to be on a little mini vacation.
That was my favorite episode as a fan of the show before I became on the show. So Ty, we're going to have to do a draft show.
Maybe we can get I know he loves that kind of stuff. Maybe John, we can get the crew, see what we can do.
Yeah, if I'm around that night, I'll definitely come.
Craig was the Twitter king.
Oh yeah, he was the one. All on it.
Was he
Where you
was
going,
our
Eric?
he was our own Evan Washburn or whoever does the silent reporting.
Where are you going?
Well, I'll be in New York. My company, I'll be in New York. My my company has a vendors coming in who wants to put their product included into the product we're building. So they're hosting me for like a week, putting me up in Manhattan at the Public Hotel, and so I'm going to be in New York. I'm just not going to be able to sit in front of a computer and do a draft show. But I'm really looking forward to it because I'm getting like a massage and all this other stuff. So I'm looking forward to that.
That doesn't sound bad at all.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. It's a really nice place. It's called Public. It's an Ian Schrager hotel. So I'm really looking forward to that little staycation, I guess, is what they call it, right?
What's wrong with that?
So yeah. So I mean, technically it's work, but I don't have to do work. So, and it's free. I'm not paying for it. That's the best part. So yeah, looking forward to that part. That trip. So yeah, I just checked and I'm like, oh, that's the same week as the draft. So I will be there in spirit.
Don't worry, we got it. We got it.
Hold it down.
Oh, I know. I trust you guys completely. Like, I trust you.
I'll be making pizza. I'll have to do delivery out to Quag and in Philly.
Hey, do some digital pizzas. We'll eat them up. We'll eat them up. No doubt. It'll be a fun one though. We got a little bit of a wait. We're 23 and 24, I think.
What, the draft?
It's 24 or 25, I think.
24, 24.
I think. Yes, I think it's either that or the 25th, 26th. But yeah, it's that week. It's that week.
I wonder if they're going to be able. Will they be able to boo anybody? Because nobody's going to. Who the hell these people are?
Yeah, Craig just brought up in 38 too, which is not an insignificant pick. They've done well in the second round, so I'll be staying up late for that one. They're going to do the draft over 2 days, though, aren't they?
Really?
Is the first year they do the draft over 2 days?
Yes, they are. I checked today. That's what getting old does. Yeah, it's the 26th and the 27th.
Oh, they're milking the pockets of that one.
Yeah.
like, oh God, let's come to this mystery second round. Nobody.
And the first
15.
The first year they do it, there's like no intrigue with this draft. There's like no marquee name floating around except Bronny James. Apparently, he's a Vegas. He's a big Vegas bet to go number one.
Yeah, why would they wait until like next year? We know the dog that's coming out next year. They should do that next year with the 2 day because everybody want that flag, dude. Who the hell wouldn't want him? I mean, I wish the Knicks could. One time the Knicks don't suck. Cooper Flag Lottery. That's the one you want to be in.
I know. Yeah, next year there's going to be a boost in talent. There's going to be a lot more players that Flag will be the headliner as long as everything stays the way it's going. But the draft will have much more talent next year, elite level talent, than this year. This year there's a lot of guys who maybe in 3 or 4 years you look back and say, wow, he's fantastic. But there's no Victor, there's no Chet. There's no guys like that who are gonna come in and just be really good right away. So, but guys, definitely keep like I said, keep an eye on the Facebook page and on the Twitter handle. I will keep you guys posted on when shows are going to be when we're going to do shows. These guys will keep you posted on the draft show coming up. Ty, what else do you do on the Facebook page? Tell these people.
Oh man, my love is the recaps, and I have nothing to recap for you guys now. So all my pinning will be the ode to the love of the Knicks moving forward. Just to let you know. It's going to romance the stone. That's what I'm going to do. But anything that's updates, any kind of thoughts about where we're moving ahead, any defense of the Knicks, that's what I'm going to do. Walk that walk, talk that talk about our favorite team. So come check me out, keep me busy, and keep me occupied. That's how it is. Yes,
sir. Joe. You know what? I'm gonna say this to both of you, and me too. If we see an article pertaining to the Knicks, just post it in the group.
Put it up.
That's it. Just if you, it doesn't like check that either one of us didn't like check we didn't post it already. But if you see one and you think it's gonna, people want to read it, put it in the group.
I was just going to mention that I was going to keep on top of the rumors as they go through and try to post them. I do got something to say.
Go ahead.
So this was my first full season on All Knicked Up, right? And want to say it's been a great ride. This has been an absolutely fantastic year to be a Knicks fan. And just want to say I appreciate the both of you. Seriously, I appreciate this ride and the show and everything. Looking forward to go forward. You can find me on the fan page or at X at Upstate Joe AKU.
Aw. No, thank you, man. Having you on, honestly, having you on the show, and because like Ty and I say all the time, we see things very similarly, and having a different voice has been a really good balance to the show. Yeah, Craig, we had it with you too, but life intervenes, so it's okay. Like I said, you're always welcome. You know that you're always welcome to come on when you want to. Just let us know.
Well, hopefully that Thursday, Craig, you will be on. We'll step it up and see what we can do.
Yeah. So
it'll be fun anyway. It'll be fun. You always want to have fun. That's about it.
Yes. So you guys know where to find me. At Finally33 on Twitter is my personal handle. At all_Nick_up for the show. Again, keep an eye out there for announcements and things that we have going on. Next year, I actually have a couple ideas. I want to talk with these guys first about stuff we can do. So we're gonna plan some stuff. Hopefully, maybe even do some giveaways. We'll see how things go. But am I frozen now? I think I am. No, I'm back.
You snapped out. That was the flattering kind of thing you were caught in there.
Yeah, so just keep an eye on that stuff. We'll post it in the Facebook group as well. So if you guys aren't in the Facebook group and you want to be a part of it, just reach out to one of us or go there. We actually have a message, a message for the group. So if you message us in the group, we'll all see it and we'll be able to answer you there. So definitely do that as well if you guys want to be part of the Facebook group. And one more thing, again, thank you all for following us this season, for interacting with us. The show's a lot more fun when we get interaction from the audience. So for those of you who have commented and been in here, we appreciate the love and support. And again, continue to follow us, because as long as you keep following us, we'll keep doing this.
Absolutely.
All right. So for Ty and Joe, I'm Eric. You are watching All Knicked Up, and we will see you soon.